Hello everyone. So this is video number 3. If you haven't watched video number 1 where I try the code, I had already cloned it and then connect to the server, and video 2 where I change the port, you should look at those videos because they will tell you, give you more, you'll understand better what's going on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the IP to 000 and change the port. So I'm going to use 8502. So this is what I'm doing. Copy the code to server 3, change the IP address, change the port, and the first one is, can you run the server code using 000? Why or why not? Well, let's give it a shot. So I think yes, because 0000 is in adder any, which means it can bind to any IP address on the system, and the port is unique. So for those two reasons, I think that I can do it. And let's look. I've already set up the the code. So what I did here was I'm using extended grep to make sure that it's using this extended regex, because the OR in this fashion is an extended regex, and I'm saying I want you to search for IP or port, and here I have IP, so this one is 127 loopback plus 8501, in adder any plus 8502, and then loopback plus 8111. So I think that it's going to be unique. It's unique so that I think it'll run no problem. Oh, sorry, that's server 3. Let's put it in the background. So that's the PID. That's the PID. So PID 12664, and it's running Python 3, and yes, it's bound to 0008502. So that looks fine. So the answer to that is, can you run the server code using 000? Yes, you can, because it's unique. And 000 means any IP address on the system. So the next one is, can you run all 3? So I'm already running 3. Let's try running 2 and the first one in the background. Does it work? Why or why not? So let's run, I'm just going to borrow this. I don't have to type too much. So that one works fine, it looks like. Server 2, server 2, and server 3. So let's see what it looks like in netstat. Are they bound? Sorry, let's see this better. So yes, these are my 3 processes. Those are the PIDs that I just launched, and the first 2 are binding to the loopback and a port, and the third one, well, technically number 3, but I ran it first, is binding to the in adder any and a port. So yes, I can run all 3 in the background, and it works because they are a unique combination of IP address, port, and protocol. So if I were to try to bind to 0008501, it probably wouldn't work, because 0 is everything and 127 is included in everything. Either way, I shouldn't do it, because then you don't know who's going to get it if it did work. So yes, I can, because the socket addresses are unique. So the next one is, can you talk to each of them using netcat and the loopback? So what do I have to change to talk to server 3? So let's try it. So let's try the first one. Let's get netcat in my, there we go. So let's try 8111. And we will quit. Okay, so now that one is gone. So as you can see, I only have the other 2 because we always consume the socket. It's just a one-shot process. So now I can do it for the first one. What about the second one? So that would be 8501. 8501. So that one works, and we've consumed the socket and the process ends, but that's just the way we wrote it, as I said. So let's see what's left. So the only thing that's left is 8502, so let's try that. 8502. Yes, it worked. And it works because in adder any includes the IP address of my VM, any other IP addresses, plus the loopback. And then we quit. So now they're all done. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Jobs, they're all done, and oops, sorry, where's my netstat? Nothing is listening. So the question was, can you talk to each of them using netcat and 127001? What do you have to change to talk to server 3? Well, I have to use the right port. I have to use the port for server 3. And did it work? Yes, it did work. And it worked because they're all technically listening on the loopback. So 2 are only listening on the loopback, and in or any happens to include the loopback. So the next question, can you talk to server 3 from your desktop using the IP address of your VM? Try the access with each port. Why or why not? So let's try server 3. Let's run server 3. And in order to try the other ports, I should have put that in there, but in order to try the other ports, something has to be listening on them. So let's make sure that something's listening on all 3 ports. So there we are, I have my 3 servers listening. So I have 8111, 8501, and 8502. They're all listening. So I'm going to try it from my desktop. So we pretty much know that this one, we've already tested this. It's not going to work. We didn't test it for 8502, but it's the same concept. So if you go back to the first video, we tested that, and that doesn't work. Because 127001 says this computer. And since this computer, when I'm on the desktop, is the desktop computer, and this computer running on the VM is the VM, they're not the same thing, even though they have the same number. So I think it won't work. But let's try it from my desktop. And here we go. So let's try first with, let me see, where's my net stats? Here we go. This big, and I want to see this. Okay. So let's try the first one, 8111. Sorry, you can't see that. So here's my MOBA Xterm, and I have these streams are listening. Let's maybe put this here so you can see it more easily. There we go. So these 3 are listening. So let's try 8111. So as I said before, this is not going to work even if I use 127001. But there's another issue here. The other issue is that I haven't actually opened any of these ports on my firewall. So since I want to get from outside the box, I have to use the firewall. So I'm just going to let that time out. There we go, it timed out. And I'm going to have a look at my firewall. So what it says is I'm allowing 22 and 80. I'm not really concerned about the version 6. I'm not using that. But I'm allowing 22 and 80. But I need 8111, 8501, and 8502. Notice I did not need them in the firewall when I was using local access because I'm on the same computer. So I didn't need them. But now I want somebody to come onto my computer from somewhere else. So I need to open the firewall. So what I want to do is allow 8111 TCP. And I want to allow 8501 TCP, and I want to allow 8502 TCP. So let's see what happened. Did that change? Yes. That's better. So I have 8111, 8501, and 8502. So just to prove it, let's try here. We're going to run it. I'm pretty certain it will time out. Okay, so it didn't time out. What it said was connection refused. Connection is refused because I am bound to 127001 and I'm only accepting connections for this computer. So whenever you see that in a server, in a listening server, let's go back. I want my net stat. There's my net stat. Whenever you see in a listening server, well, it's harder to read like that. Whenever you see in a listening server, listen, 12701, it's telling you it's only for this computer. You can't get to this from the outside world. So I'm not even going to try 8501. Well, actually, why don't I do that? It'll be just for fun. So this should also be connection refused. So the server's saying, well, you know, that port's open, but there's actually nobody that's available for you because you're coming from the outside. But what about the last one, 8502? It succeeded. So it succeeded because I was able to bind to that port. So what does this look like? Excuse me. It looks like this. I actually have my client connected. So this is my remote client using an ephemeral port. Remember, ephemeral ports are high ports. And this is my server using my IP address and 8502. So it still shows listening, but we can't really have multiple connections. So that's kind of a vagary of the system. But as you can see, the socket is established. The socket is established. I should have showed you that for the other ones, but I will show you it again. So what I can do is say hello. Are you there? Me too. And then I quit again. And I'm done. So now it should be gone. And it's completely gone. So we consumed the socket. So let's see what the question was. It was, can you talk to server 3 from your desktop using the IP address of your VM? Yes, I can, but only with the port that is bound to in-adder any. Any ports bound to the loopback are only for the computer, the VM itself, so only for the computer on which they're run. So yes, I can to the one that's the one that's connected to in-adder any. And then it says, ask another student to talk to the server 3 from their VM. Can you connect using the IP address of your VM? Yes, you can, because the same principle is at stake. So it's very similar to the desktop. The only difference is the fact that the desktop has to go through a router in order to get to the VM LAN, so the VM VLAN. But anybody who's already on the VM VLAN, you just send packets with each other. So that's the end of that. We've done using in-adder any. Thank you.